What's going on, guys? Welcome back to Weekly GCap, the only source you'll ever need to catch up on all the gaming news from the last week. As always, we got quite a couple stories to go through, and if there's only a couple that interest you, feel free to either use the timestamps down in the description or just scroll through the time bar and you'll be able to find any of the stories that interest you there. First things first, let's go ahead and go over all the major game releases in the last week according to Metacritic. So, on August 16th, we have Madden NFL 25, which you could actually access 3 days early if you pre-ordered the deluxe edition. On August 15th, we had Arco, Cricket, Jay's Really Peculiar Game, Farewell North, Hunt Showdown 1896, Kena Bridge of Spirits, the Xbox version, and it is worth noting that some of these games were already released on other platforms before, but they are just now being re-released, so if some of these games are actually a bit older, that would be why, because they also count re-releases. And then on August 14th, we have Sam & Max, The Devil's Playhouse Remastered, and then on August 13th, we have Lexington. So, have you gotten to pick up or play any of these games? Next up, Death's Gambit Afterlife is free on Epic Games, as well as World of Warships Starter Pack Albany. These will be free until August 22nd at 11 a.m. EST, so you might as well redeem them because there's no better price than free. Next up, we got the August PS Plus Extra and Premium games for you guys, those being The Witcher 3 Wild Hunt, Wild Hearts, Cult of the Lamb, Ride 5, Watch Dogs 2, Sword Art Online Last Recollection, Naruto to Boruto Shinobi Striker, Sword Art Online Alicization Licorice, Sword Art Online Fatal Bullet, and Sword Art Online Hollow Realization. Then going to the premium tier, we have Vacation Simulator for PSV R2, Time Splitters 2, Time Splitters Future Perfect, and Sword Art Online Lost Song. These will be available August 20th, and I do have to say that if I have any recommendations, especially for that premium tier this month, check out at least one of the Time Splitters games. I would say, I'm biased, I'm nostalgic for the whole series, so I would say check them all out. But if you got other games that you're trying to get to, or if you're just strapped for time, then at least check one of them out. But again, if you can make time for it, I'd recommend playing through all of them. Next up, Vampire Survivors is finally coming to PS4 and PS5. They put up a trailer and the description reads, quote, "Be the bullet hell as Vampire Survivors comes to PS4 and PS5 on August 29th, 2024. So it's a little less than 2 weeks out, and yeah, it's interesting, because obviously this game came out a long time ago on PC, and shortly after that then on Switch and Xbox, and now it's finally releasing on PlayStation. Better late than never, I suppose. Next up, the BAKERU release date was announced. They put up a trailer and the description reads, quote, "BAKERU, or BAKERU, however you're supposed to say that, is coming to Nintendo Switch on September 3rd. Pre-order and demo available now. In this 3D action game, take on the role of BAKERU on an adventure through Japan's 47 prefectures to defeat the diabolical festival troops and restore peace. There will be battles featuring fairy tale heroes and giant robots. You can fight back using your taiko drum and using the Tanuki's henge power to transform into different forms." End quote. So, this is a 3D action platformer of sorts, very akin to something that we would have seen back during like the original Xbox, PS2, GameCube generation. I got to check out the demo, and it's definitely harkening back to those days, really pulling on the nostalgia strings, because it's one of those things where it's like, it's just like those classic games, but it's, in a modern form, in a modern release. So definitely check it out, not only if you're nostalgic for those games, but also if you're just looking for an awesome 3D platformer. And again, the full version will be releasing September 3rd. Next up, the Until Dawn Remake release date was announced, as well as we got some more details for it. So we're going to go ahead and go over that. This coming from PlayStation Blog, quote, "Our new Until Dawn experience has been built from the ground up using Unreal Engine 5. We updated character models, environments, interactable props, visual effects, and animations, all designed to maximize the Until Dawn experience on both PS5 and PC. We've completely relit the game to take advantage of Unreal Engine 5's rendering features, including ray tracing and enhanced materials, focusing on a more atmospheric and quote-unquote modern horror experience. One of our key visual improvements for Until Dawn has been around revisiting the character models and bringing them in line with modern advances in character modeling and rendering. Improvements to textures, materials, rendering, and animations performance have all contributed to higher fidelity characters, who we hope will resonate with both new players and existing fans of the game. We've used modern pre-rendering simulation techniques to create more realistic real-time fluids, and you can see all the gory glory of this particular in our updated character deaths. We've also updated our injury mass system, which allows us to add elements like cuts, bruises, tears, snow, and water to the characters' bodies." And then they go on to list a bunch of other stuff. We're not going to read through all of it. We'll just kind of read off the bullet points. It was being revised cinematography, production design, and new camera control mechanic, reworks prologue, new collectibles, and customizable settings. And then at the bottom, they note Until Dawn launches on PS5 console and PC October 4th, 2024, pre-order from August 21st. End quote. This is another situation, just like many other remasters from the PS4/Xbox One generation, where you kind of got to look at, well, I guess this isn't a remaster, a remake, you know what I'm trying to say, where it's like, okay, the original game was already so realistic looking enough, and, you know, for certain games where they have a distinct art style, it's like, okay, remake them, remaster them, do whatever you gotta do. Clearly, graphics aren't the focus, but I feel like for re-releases like this, whether it's a remaster, whether it's a remake, it's clear that, like, the graphics are the focus. I mean, they paid so much time and attention to it in this post alone, just like, hey, this is everything that we worked on and changed, and while it's cool and while those changes and improvements, or whatever you want to call them, are appreciated, yeah, it's just one of those situations where I was like, okay, was this really necessary? You know, these resources could have went somewhere else, but at the same time, Until Dawn came out, you know, like, part way through the PS4 generation, and there was a lot of other similar games coming around at a time, you know, with, like, the Dark Pictures and stuff like that, but now in October, when this is releasing, it'll be very alone. You know, there's no other games like it out at the moment, and it'll be going to PC for the first time, so if nothing else, it'll be cool that a whole new audience, that being on PC, will actually be able to experience this game for the first time, and who knows, if you missed this game the first time around, just because, again, there was a lot of similar games coming out around that era, around that time when this game would have released, well, now you'll have the chance, and hopefully other folks will have the chance to check it out. Next up, Doom and Doom 2 re-released with new content. So the Steam page reads, quote, developed by id Software and originally released in 1993, Doom pioneered and popularized the first-person shooter, setting a standard for all FPS games. The critically acclaimed sequel, Doom 2, followed in 1994. Now, the definitive, newly enhanced versions of Doom and Doom 2 are available as a combined product. Owners will receive Doom, Doom 2, TNT Evolution, the Plutonia Experiment, Master Levels for Doom 2, No Rest for the Living, Sigil, Legacy of Rust, a new episode created in collaboration by id Software, Night Dive Studios, and Machine Games. So yes, this is new, like, Doom and Doom 2 content being released in 2024, 30 years after the game's released. A new deathmatch map pack featuring 26 maps. Altogether, there are a total of 187 mission maps and 43 deathmatch maps in Doom and Doom 2. New enhancements include online cross-platform deathmatch and co-op for up to 16 players, community-published mod support with an in-game mod browser, improved performance and support for 4K displays, and the list just goes on and on with all the new features and enhancements and this, that, or the other, and all of this is only going for $9.99, which breaks down to basically just $5 per game, which not only in itself is that definitely worth the asking price, but when you consider the fact that this is new content being released for a game that released over 30 years ago at this point, yeah, it's definitely worth the asking price. It's also worth noting that this is available on consoles as well, and if you have Xbox Game Pass, well, you'll be able to just play this game outright without even having to fork over any money. Next up, Replaced has been delayed to 2025. Now, this game was first announced about 3 years ago at this point. Originally, it was going to release in 2022, but here we are still talking about it and it being delayed again. So let's just go ahead and go over this. This is coming from Replaced on X. They had an image attached to their tweet, quote, hey everyone, we'll keep it short. Replaced will now be released in 2025. Our initial release date was optimistic, and we apologize for that. Developing Replaced is quite a unique challenge, and we're proud to be creating something that special. We need more time to ensure we meet the high standards we've set for ourselves and to meet the expectations of our fans. Feel free to join our Discord. We post lots of devlogs there to share their progress and are open for a chat. Replaced was featured at Summer Game Fest earlier this summer, and now it will also finally be available at Gamescom for everybody to play. Come say hi. For those not attending, we've prepared something special for later this week. Now, back to work. We want you to love Replaced when it launches, so we have to go the extra mile here. Sadcat Studios team. So, yeah, it is unfortunate because this game was announced such a long time ago, and we've gotten multiple looks, multiple trailers at this point, but it is what it is. As the legendary quote goes, bad game forever bad, good game eventually good. Let the artists work to produce the art that they, to produce it to the standard that they feel it should meet. Obviously, we don't have a set in stone release date for this game yet, but obviously I'll keep you guys updated as we learn more, as there's updates on this story. But yeah, it sucks because, again, this is a game that I and many others have been really excited for, but in the end, if it means that we get a better game, or at the very least a game that meets the development team's standards, then, that's all that matters. Next up, 6 games have been confirmed to be appearing at Gamescom. So this coming from Jeff Keighley on X, quote, some of the games confirmed for Gamescom opening night live next Tuesday include Call of Duty Black Ops 6, Monster Hunter Wilds, Marvel Rivals, Dune Awakening, Indiana Jones and the Great Circle, and Sid Meier's Civilization 7. Streams live at 11 a.m. PT or 2 p.m. Eastern or 8 p. CEST, end quote. So you gotta figure out the times there. I believe C is Central Standard, and then PT would be Pacific Time. Correct me if I'm wrong about that, but anyway, yeah, that'll be happening this coming Tuesday, that being August 20th. So yeah, that's 6 of the games that will be there. There will obviously be other games as well, but man, I mean, obviously we've already known about these games. They were announced a while ago, but the fact that we're just even getting more content for these games, more trailers, seeing more gameplay and stuff like that at this event, that's pretty exciting. So yeah, we'll definitely be doing a full recap next week after this event takes place and just kind of talk about whatever was shown off. Next up, new Halloween games are in development. So this coming from IGN, quote, 2 new games based on the 1978 horror classic Halloween are in development at Boss Team Games, IGN can exclusively reveal. While details are limited, both games are apparently being developed in conjunction with the producers of the Halloween franchise. What's more, one of the games is being developed in Unreal Engine 5 and will include input from original director John Carpenter. Quote, as a huge gamer myself, I'm thrilled to help bring Michael Myers to life again in this game, and my hope is to scare you silly, said Carpenter, who will be, quote, intimately involved with the development of the new project. According to the official release, the games will allow players to relive moments from the film and play as classic characters from one of the most iconic and important horror films of all time. The 2 new games are being developed in association with Compass International Pictures and Further Front, with the Unreal Engine 5 project still early in development, end quote. So this is obviously very exciting. Most horror IP games in recent years have either been tied to crossovers with Dead by Daylight or asymmetrical games such as Friday the 13th or the Texas Chainsaw games. So the fact that we're going to be getting a licensed horror game that isn't like that and is more of like a single player experience, or at least I'm assuming will be a single player experience that you can just play through and, again, experience on your own, possibly following a storyline of sorts, is a very exciting prospect. So, yeah, I'm very excited for this, and as soon as we know more, I'll obviously let you guys know, but considering the fact that it's in early development, I'm expecting it to be a couple of years before we get to talk about that. Next up, the Final Fantasy Pixel Remasters are finally getting a reprint. So, this coming from Square Enix, quote, we have some exciting news for those of you who have been asking for new physical editions of the Final Fantasy Pixel Remaster games. They're on the way. The Final Fantasy 1-6 Collection Anniversary Edition will launch for PS4 and Nintendo Switch on October 8th, 2024. What's more, it's available to pre-order now. What is the Final Fantasy Pixel Remaster series? This is just them kind of recapping what the games are, and I'll go ahead and read this just in case you guys don't know what the Pixel Remaster series is. It's the first 6 Final Fantasy games that have been updated with beautiful new 2D pixel graphics designed to look great on HD displays, rearranged soundtracks overseen by original composer Nobuo Uematsu, and improved gameplay features, including modernized user interface, auto battle options, and more. The games are available on PS4, Nintendo Switch, and PC via Steam now digitally, either separately or as a collection comprising Final Fantasy 1-6. As mentioned, a new physical edition has also been announced, the Final Fantasy 1-6 Collection Anniversary Edition. It's coming to PS4 and Nintendo Switch October 8th, 2024, and includes a sticker sheet featuring some familiar Final Fantasy figures, end quote. So, yeah, if you don't know about the original release for this game, as they had stated, it is available digitally now, and for a time they printed some physical copies of this game, but they did not print enough to, enough supply to meet the demand that was and still is there. Thus is the reason why if you go on eBay, you'll see listings for anywhere from $600, $700 up to $1,500 to $2,000 for a brand new copy of the PS4 version. It is a bit easier to get copies for the Switch for only about, like, I don't know, maybe $80 to $90, and you can just order it off of Play Asia for about $75, $80, and it's not an ESRB copy, but the Switch is region free, it's the same games, it's still play in English. But yeah, for that PS4 version, especially if it's a sealed copy, yeah, you're going to be paying an arm, leg, kidney, and possibly half of your heart just to get a copy of the game. So the fact that they're reprinting it is not only very consumer friendly, but it's just good for all of the stuff in general. I mean, granted, this is going to be a different version of the game technically, because it'll be called something different, so I feel like those first print copies will still be just ridiculously expensive as a result of that. I would kind of wish in a way that maybe they would have just reprinted the same one from before to bring down the prices overall, but what can you do? It's just awesome that they're doing reprints regardless. So if you missed your chance to get the game physically before and saw those prices before and were like, I'm not paying all that, well, now here's your chance, and the pre-orders will be live for quite a while, so you have more than enough time to get your pre-order in. Right now it's $75, but gotta remember, that's $75 for 6 remastered games. That's like, I mean, for 6 games, definitely worth the price. Next up, somebody has set the world record for most consoles connected to a TV. This is coming from Nintendo Life. Quote, one man has set a Guinness World Record for having the highest number of unique working video game consoles connected to one TV. Abraham Al Nassar from Saudi Arabia has managed to connect 444 video game consoles, each one different, to a single TV. And every single one works too. Al Nassar hooks them all up using around 30 RCA switchers, 12 HDMI switchers, converters, and more. His consoles range from the classics such as the Super Nintendo, N64, PS1, and the Neo Geo, to more obscure ones such as the Super A-Can and the Magnavox Box Odyssey, the world's very first video game console. The collection also includes arcade cabinets, plug-and-plays, and computers too. We spotted a Steam Deck as well, so realistically this collection is only going to get bigger. But what if he wants to play some Super Mario 64 or Sonic the Hedgehog? Simple. Al Nasser has a spreadsheet that tells him what switcher or converter every single console is hooked up to. All he has to do is find the game on the Excel spreadsheet, then find the switcher, then flick the switch. Done. End quote. So, yeah, that's just insane. 444 consoles. See, me right now, I'm actually investing in a HDMI switcher just because I have so many consoles on my, in my setup, right? Thankfully, I still have a TV that has, like, the old RF cable and, the old AV plugs, the red, white, and yellows and such, so I can still plug in the consoles that require those. But even beyond that, there's been plenty of HDMI consoles at this point to where, like, my TV, for example, only has 3 HDMI plugs on it. And if I'm looking over my setup right now, I mean, I got my PS3, my 360, my Wii U, my PS5, and you know what, like, the list goes on and on. I have, like, basically every console that has released with an HDMI cord up to this point. And even though I don't leave all of my consoles plugged in at all times, like, I kind of just, like, switch around the plugs. I have a surge protector that I switch some of the plugs between. Yeah, it's just one of those things where plugging the HDMI in and out, it just becomes a pain after a while. So I'm investing in one of those. But man, maybe I'm going about this all wrong. Maybe I ought to just do what this guy is doing and try to hook up 400 consoles to my TV. I really do think that is the move. And finally, Krafton has acquired Tango Gameworks. Let's just get a round of applause for this one. So we had talked a couple of months ago at this point about the tragic news of Tango Gameworks getting shut down despite the insane success that Hi-Fi Rush saw, how many awards it won, how much money it brought in, all that. But thankfully, Tango Gameworks has been saved. So let's just go ahead and go over this. This coming from The Verge, quote, Hi-Fi Rush developer Tango Gameworks has been spared closure. 3 months after Microsoft announced plans to shut down the studio, Krafton, the South Korean publisher behind PUBG Battlegrounds and the Callisto Protocol, announced on Monday that it had acquired the game and its Japanese studio and is working with Xbox to enable a smooth transition to ensure the Tango Gameworks team can continue developing the Hi-Fi Rush IP and explore future projects. The value of the deal has not been disclosed. Hi-Fi Rush was the only Tango IP mentioned in Krafton's announcement, so it's unclear if Microsoft is relinquishing the rights to the studio's other franchises like The Evil Within and Ghostwire Tokyo. We've reached out to Krafton for clarification. The PUBG owner says the acquisition won't impact the availability of Tango Gameworks' existing game catalog. Krafton says it will support the Tango Gameworks team to deliver fresh and exciting experiences for fans. End quote. Once again, let's get another round of applause, ladies and gentlemen. Tango Gameworks lives on, and not only that, but Hi-Fi Rush, and hopefully their other IPs will live on as well. I've been hoping for a long time that maybe eventually we could see a Ghostwire Tokyo 2 or an Evil Within 3, but at the very least, even if we just get a Hi-Fi Rush, even if we don't get any more games, for any time in the near future, just the fact that Tango Gameworks is allowed to live on is, like, that's just enough, right? There's obviously some very, very talented people at that studio, in terms of, the people that lead the studio and the developers there as well, just everybody there. It is obviously an amazing, talented devs team, and the fact that they developed a masterpiece such as Hi-Fi Rush and were subsequently almost shut down just, mere months after that, despite the amount of success that the studio saw, is just seriously such a slap in the face to everybody that poured their heart and souls not only into Hi-Fi Rush, but all the other amazing games that they made to get themselves to where they were at. But again, thankfully, all the doom and gloom is over, and Tango Gameworks somehow has been saved. Krafton literally swooping in at the last moment to save the studio before we're shut down forever. So again, thankfully, Tango Gameworks can live on as well as their IP. I mean, again, we don't know how many IPs will get to live on. At the very least, Tango Gameworks and Hi-Fi Rush will get to live on, but let's hope that some of their other IPs, like The Evil Within, for example, are able to live on in some way as well. But again, massive W not only for Tango Gameworks, but also Krafton, and it's just, I'm just, this news when I saw the headline just made me so happy. But anyway, that is all the stories that I got for you guys this week. So now I'd definitely love to hear from you guys. What are your thoughts on everything that we talked about? Whether it's Tango Gameworks making a comeback and not actually getting shut down despite everything, or the Guinness World Record for most amount of consoles plugged into a TV. What do you think about that? Or maybe will you attempt something like that? I mean, I don't know why you would, but hey, if you can make it work, let me know, because as I was saying before, I have a lot of consoles that I'd like to leave hooked up without plugging in and unplugging HDMIs all the time. So hey, if there's some sort of contraption you can figure out, let me know, and I might give it a shot too. But whatever it is, whatever you're thinking, I'd definitely love to hear from you guys. But anyway, this is Weekly GCap. New episodes go live every single Friday at 9 a.m. Eastern, so if you want to catch them as soon as you go live, well then, now you know when to be here. But anyway, that's gonna do it for me, guys. Thank you guys for watching. Have an amazing day and an amazing weekend. Stay beautiful. I love you all. Peace.